First it was Starmer that Clarkson had a rant over, and now it's Angela Rayner. It's safe to say that a lot of people aren't happy on how this Labour government runs this country. In today's video, we will take a look at what Jeremy Clarkson has said with regard to our Deputy Prime Minister, all while going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. Before we get into it though, do hit the like and subscribe button and join our fast-growing community. Clarkson had already gone for Starmer around a week ago, following the Labour leader confirming the government was eyeing up plans to implement the ban on cigarette smoking in an attempt to ease NHS spending on illnesses caused by the habit. Now Jeremy Clarkson has ridiculed Angela Rayner after footage emerged of the Deputy Prime Minister dancing during a night out in Ibiza last week. Writing in his Sun column, Mr. Clarkson joked that Ms. Rayner's partying was positive, since it means she is not at work, dreaming up some more socialism to foist upon us all. Ms. Rayner's dance moves on the Spanish party island during Parliament's summer recess raised eyebrows across the political spectrum. Mr. Clarkson said, "Many pointed out that at a time of great austerity, unless you're a train driver, she should be at work and not throwing shapes on a Spanish dance floor. Plus, if in a nightclub, it means she's not in her office, dreaming up some more socialism to foist upon us all. I wish she, and Sir Starmer for that matter, were away a lot more. 52 weeks a year would suit me just fine." The 44-year-old Deputy PM was questioned about the decision to go partying until the early hours of the morning this week. In an interview with Sky News this week, Ms. Rayner defended her holiday choices, saying, "Yes, I'm working class, I like a dance, I like dance music. I mean, you can criticise my dancing, it is subjective. But I take my job really seriously, and what I do, and I'm always in Parliament, and I'm always doing what needs to be done, and I'll continue to do that. But I also believe as a former trade unionist that you've got to have downtime as well. Everybody has to have downtime. But I do take my job really seriously and like to talk about what I'm doing to help other people." Former Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries was among those who criticised the video, saying Ms. Rayner had demeaned her office. Dr. René Hunderkamp branded Britain easy in a passionate rant about illegal migrants exploiting the country. The doctor claimed that the migrant crisis is Britain's own making and agreed with comments from the French Interior Minister, who said the soft-touch rules are to blame. In a major rant, she said, the French Interior Minister said that the migrant crisis wasn't down to the increasingly ruthless smuggling gangs, but was a problem of Britain's own making. I agree with him. He said that the lure of Britain's loosely regulated job market was acting as an economic magnet for migrants who knew that if they could just make it across that last stretch of water, they could work unregulated in this country, even when they don't have the right papers. I would go further than that, actually. Migrants sit in awful camps in Calais, in tents. They know that once they make it into a boat onto the water, they're going to be picked up by the Royal Navy, the RNLI, and they're going to be escorted gracefully to the UK, where they then will be transported to their warm ensuite hotel room. They'll be given food, money, bicycles, travel cards, and healthcare and legal representation. Continuing her uninterrupted rant, she said, "They also know that they can just disappear off at any point and work in the black economy. Why wouldn't they come? Even if they are in the tiny minority that appeal their deportation when they get processed 3 times, so eventually the chances of them actually going is down to about 10%. Even if they are one of that 10%, and they eventually fill the Home Office on their collar, they disappear off into the ether. They work on the black market. They form relationships. They have children. So when they do get picked up again, they can then look to the ECHR to protect their right to a family life in the UK. So yes, it's definitely our fault. We make it too easy, too comfy, and they know it across. This is what they're being told. They will arrive in Dover, they will be fingerprinted, and I do as far as they can because of course they dump their documents. They would be driven in a comfy coach still, but this time to a locked detention centre where they get 3 meals a day. They're still warm, they still get health care, but they don't need pocket money, they don't need bicycles, they don't need travel cards. We would then process them, and when they get a no, eventually, they'll be then transported to the country that they should be in. That's my solution." This comes as last week France's Interior Minister claimed Britain's soft touch rules for illegal migrants are to blame for the people who died in a small boat disaster. A pregnant woman and 6 children were among those who lost their lives when their boat was ripped apart and sank off the northern French coast of Cap Gris-Nez last week. Dozens of migrants continued to make the journey on Wednesday, with more people pictured being brought ashore in Dover, Kent, amid calm weather conditions at sea. In other news, Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been told that putting VAT on school fees mid-year is cruel and punitive. Dominic Norrish, the chief executive of the Independent Association of Prep Schools, penned a letter to Reeves over the decision. In his letter, which was also addressed to Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, Norrish suggested the decision was deliberately destructive and would undermine the policy's aims. It is not the start of the academic year for pupils, the fee year for schools, nor the fee payers' tax year, or even the government's budgetary year, he said. A mid-year start creates numerous problems for schools, parents, and the tax authorities that do not need to exist. Norrish added, January feels like an arbitrary date, attractive merely due to its proximity to the present. Large numbers will be forced, now at very short notice, to move their children elsewhere. You have cited previous annual rises in fees as evidence that parents will cope this time too, seeking to equate the gradual compounding of inflationary fee rises with a 20% hike in a single year. This isn't a credible argument. He also said, unless you have experienced having to unexpectedly change school as a child, leaving behind all of your established relationships and slowly gained sense of psychological safety, it can be hard to grasp how seismic the effect can be. It is an experience that no parent would choose for their child. You have argued that parents have had plenty of notice of your intentions and, presumably, could have moved their child to another school for this September, or found the extra funds for VAT. Regrettably, this comes across as unempathetic cant, which cannot have been your intention. Regardless of how long ago Labour's intentions were announced, implementing VAT on fees, a school term after forming a government, does not give parents enough time to act in their child's best interests and appears cruel and punitive. A more considered implementation date would safeguard VAT income for the purposes it has been identified by slowing the worst effects of higher fees and giving schools and parents time to adapt rather than exit. Parents are already starting to take legal action over the policy, with the mother of a child with autism penning a pre-action letter to the High Court. Paul Conrath of Sinclair's Law, which is representing the family, said, "This punitive tax will have a devastating impact upon the education and welfare of children with special needs, at a time when special needs provision in the state sector is inadequate and a complete shambles. They are a violation of their human rights to education and freedom from discrimination." Eton College has also revealed it will pass the full 20% levy onto parents, excluding those who were on bursaries. The government does not believe the decision will cause an exodus of children into state schools. In a blog last week, the government said, "We don't expect that raising VAT will cause private school fees to go up by 20%. This is because private schools, like other businesses, don't have to reflect the VAT increase in the amount fee payers are charged. We expect that private schools will try to minimize any fee increases. We expect the number of pupils who might decide to change schools to a state school from private schools to be minimal. There is also lots of evidence to suggest that there are more than enough state school places for pupils who may move from a private school." What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.